Hello, and in this episode of the IBM Update, we take a look at the IBM Marketplace Survey as published by Fortra. We'll take a look at the 2026 results and analyse the trends using the previous year's data, all in under 10 minutes. Now, at the beginning of February, we enjoyed the release of the Fortra 2026 IBM Marketplace Survey. This is the 12th edition, and this year it surveyed over 360 IT professionals across multiple industries. The majority, 22 to 23%, being administrators, IT managers, and others, with developers representing about 16% of respondents and 13% at director or VP level. So, a good spread. The global respondents were pretty much the same as the past couple of years, and again were dominated by USA and Canada. In Europe, we're up a couple of percent over the previous year with a move to 23%. But still a considerable drop from the all-time highs in 2023. And the rest of the world remains at 15%. Now, as last year, the astute amongst you will notice that the figures don't quite add up to 100%, but as before, this has to do with large multinationals responding. Amongst these companies, the survey found a strong commitment to the platform, with those looking to increase their IBM footprint up at 19%. This is up 7% on 2024, just in a couple of years. Now, retaining the status quo is also up on the previous year, but a continuing downturn was with companies staying on IBM I, but migrating to cloud, down from 13% in 2024 to 5%. Now, this could be seen as positive news as businesses move from a no change standpoint to furthering their investment in IBM I. However, the caveat here is an increase in migration of all apps to a new OS or platform. This is up from 8% in 2025 to 12% this year. However, the positivity continues, with 95% of respondents rightly thinking that IBM I continues to be a good investment for their business. Now, this has been bobbing around this area for the past few years, and we see this trend continuing with the added resilience and performance of the Power 11. Now, the percentage of businesses that enjoy the majority of core business applications running on the platform is up 5% to 47%, with a further 27% having half to three quarters of their applications on IBM I at the heart of their business. Indeed, 25 to 50% bracket is down 1% from last year, and with the upturn of 5% with a majority bracket, this is suggesting a significant proportion of businesses' workloads is predominantly run on IBM I. But what was the development code at the heart of business? Well, RPG continues to be the mainstay, followed by SQL, but both are slightly down on the year previous. COBOL, however, remains static at 16%. No huge surprise here due to its continued presence in the financial sector and, of course, its rock-solid reliability. The modern web languages continue to eclipse COBOL, with a continuing uptake of Python, plus continued good adoption of PHP and Node.js. Now, one interesting change was in Java, however, which had a noticeable drop from 40% to 32%. One thing that Fortra noted was that it may be possible that respondents are not listing languages in which they are receiving AI assistance. Now, if this is correct, these are all good signs for modernization. Continuing with development, Apache retains its position as the top open source development tool. Unsurprisingly, Git retains its popularity in second place, and I would expect to see this trend continue in the coming years too. The other big gain in 2026 is perhaps in the others category, as new and exciting open source tools are adopted to support modernization and API development. However, the big highlight is always the top concerns for the IBM I enterprise, and for the first time in almost 10 years, cybersecurity is not the number one concern amongst IBM I professionals. The number one slot has been taken by IBM I skills, up nearly 10% from last year to 69%. Now, to put this into context, last year cybersecurity got 77% of the vote in 2025. This year it drops down to 64%, so really quite the pivot. What this tells us is that the biggest risk isn't hackers, it's retiring developers. So, before we close, some of the takeaway highlights from the survey. First, with the growing interest in AI and machine learning. Not covered in my previous chart, but this year it ranked 5th in the concern ranking, with 42% of the casting vote. However, the bigger picture is the trend line. So if you go back to 2024, this was just at 18%. So a massive leap of 24% in just 2 years. This demonstrates a legitimate interest in these technologies to support everyday business processes. AI has moved from just a curiosity to active planning, where IBM I teams are thinking on how they can use AI, where it may fit, and if they are prepared for it. And some may be more prepared than others, as 73% of IBM I systems run fully unattended after working hours. This shows us that IBM I shops are highly automated, and while this may be with nightly batch processes and scheduled jobs, it does demonstrate that the IBM I is a strong platform to build automation within. Now, AI can only help in these areas too. Trust and satisfaction maintains a high level, with the 95% of respondents believing that the IBM I gives them a better return on investment than other platforms. But the same people are saying that there is a gap in skills to support and maintain the systems, with that 69% of respondents listing the IBM I skills as the top concern when planning their IT environment. Indeed, the skills gap is the biggest takeaway in this year's Fortra Marketplace Survey. The fact that IBM I skills has overtaken cybersecurity as the number one concern, well, that's a big moment for the platform. What it tells us here is that IBM I itself isn't the risk. The challenge is finding people with the experience to support and modernize these systems as teams are getting smaller and as developers retire. And we're seeing organizations respond in a few ways. Investing in training, using AI tools to help new developers learn faster, improving automation, and increasingly partnering with specialist managed service providers such as Proximity to provide continuity and resilience around their IBM I applications. Because for many companies, the goal isn't to replace IBM I, but to make sure that they've got the right skills around it for the long term. And that's it for this update and your under 10-minute summary of the IBM I Marketplace Survey. For the full survey as compiled by Fortra, please do see the link somewhere down below. And for more like this, and to subscribe to the IBM I update, never miss an episode, please see our blog on the Proximity website and on LinkedIn too. But for now, I'm Andrew Nicholson. We are Proximity, the IBM I application managed service partners that are in your corner. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.